We were just talking about, we wanted to make this light and fun, and I just like, Kelly, that you're starting by dragging the chair closer to me.
So I want to be closer.
I love that setting. No, it's perfect. And Kelly.
Yes.
You are an actress, you're an entrepreneur, and you're a mother.
Yes.
You are known for several good things, but you're known for Melrose Place, Dynasty, Pretty Little Liars, and Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
And I have to admit that I, for a period in my life, have had the signature XOXO.
I love it.
So I love your work.
Thank you.
And now, today we're here to talk about, and we'll open Slido later so you can think about some questions for Kelly. And we'll try to see if we can get them mixed into this conversation. But today we're here to talk about, I think, your life, your perspective as a person. Because we had a chat before and you just have some really great perspective. So can you just first and foremost tell me a little bit about the transition from Hollywood actress into a startup investor and entrepreneur?
Well, it was really happened quite naturally because I met Eric and Benjamin, the co-founders of Whyzzer, and I just sort of fell in love with the idea and with them. And so it was sort of a natural thing. It wasn't even something I was necessarily looking for, but I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit, let's say. I had like a paper route when I was 9. I always wanted to do something or, anyway. So I met them and I loved the concept of Whyzzer, which is making, knowledge and education accessible to everyone. So a lot of it was just getting behind something that I had a desire to see out in the world that wasn't there, and that I thought would be of sort of service to humanity. So it was easy.
Nice.
Easy.
And it wasn't like you were Googling how to become a startup investor. Can you tell me a little bit about how you found Whyzzer, or maybe more likely how they found you?
Yeah, so they just had emailed me, and I guess they had reached out to quite a lot of people, and I was the one that responded. I was like, yeah, this is so cool. I love it. So, and then I was skiing with my kids, and they weren't too far away. So they came in and met me, and we had a pizza and a beer with my son, and they told me about the concept, and I just sort of thought it was so cool. And afterwards, my son, who's now going to be 17, said, they were really great. Like, I love this. And I said, yeah, isn't this something? So I think both generations, really loved it too. The fact that my son really got it and said, I really think this is cool.
Nice. And I guess normally when you email an Hollywood actress or actor,
they don't respond.
They don't really respond so.
Oh, I know.
Was that a lot? You just happened to check your own email, or?
Yeah, well, I do a lot myself. I do my social media. I do everything myself, pretty much. So for me, it's just sort of weeding through and seeing what makes sense. But it really did look exciting to me and beautiful and
nice.
Yeah.
And I think looking through your Instagram and just kind of like the podcast and interviews you've done, there's definitely a red thread on authenticity.
Yeah.
Kind of like listening to yourself. And I think that's something, like the way that you live, I think many of the founders out here can learn from. So can you talk a little bit more about maybe like your life philosophy and also how you managed to really build a crazy career, and at the same time you seem very grounded.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you just get up every day and do what's interesting and what's exciting to you. At least that's what I've done. I've always thought, I just want to enjoy every day and do what I love. And so that's really my motivation. I think if I had to get up and do something I didn't love, it would be different. So because I think if you love something, then even the challenges are okay. It gives you the zhuzh to keep going,
And doing what you love, of course, that makes sense. How did you know that you wanted to be an actress? How have you found the path that was yours?
Yeah, I knew I didn't want to go to college, and I knew that although, it's not the path for everyone, but I knew I didn't want to go to college. And my mother always told me, if you want to do something, start out very young. And we just saw a girl who had started a company at 19, I think, and sort of now she's a very, very big deal. So I think sometimes it's not always for you. Like, at certain types of education, obviously you have to go to college for certain things. But that for me, I wanted to travel. I wanted to learn the things that I was interested in learning, not necessarily what I was being told to learn, and to sort of reach outside of the normal places to learn. So if that makes sense. So I just, I wanted to, and connect with people and understand the world in a different way. And acting was a way to express all of that, the different aspects of myself, I guess. Yeah. And how, it was, when I saw movies, I thought, wow, I relate to this. So it was a way of connecting to other people and our humanity.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And I think, following that path, but also going outside of what people would expect from you. Maybe your family told you to go to college.
Yeah.
And I think maybe there's someone out here who can relate, like not doing that graduate program or joining that big corporate, but actually doing their own company instead.
Yes.
Which is not only hard in itself, but it's also hard to not do what the people you love kind of like wants you to do or expect you to do. Do you have any advice for people out here who might be in the middle of this right now and gets the different pressures and ups and downs?
Yeah, I mean, I think most parents want to keep their kids safe and want to make sure they're secure and all of that, which makes sense. And I think education is extremely important. I just got involved in an app about knowledge and education and expertise and all of this. So it's just that I think we all learn differently and we all are here to do different things, each one of us. I mean, I have 2 children and they both have the same DNA. They came from the same, and they're so completely different, and their missions here on Earth are so different. So I believe that, like, to listen to that, we aren't all the same. We all know that. I mean, we're figuring that out now, that school isn't for everyone, but that education is, and learning, knowledge is. Education doesn't just come from school. It's obviously very much more expansive than that. So, and the more, like at a young age, you do what you're passionate about, the more chances you're going to have of being successful, for sure. Yeah.
And I guess you're putting your money where your mouth is, because you actually invested in Whyzzer, who's just sitting down here, and who's doing a social media platform for knowledge sharing and learning, and how, I guess, democratizing also and making it more fun to learn.
Yes, yeah.
So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What about all the other aspiring startups out here coming up wanting to pitch their company? Where are you now in your life? Are you looking to become a serial investor, or what's your focus?
I mean, not really. I don't have the bandwidth to do it. I mean, I really would just get behind something that I would have a knowledge base around, obviously. I did a little something. I've been doing some things in fashion, which I love. But to me, my focus right now is Whyzzer and my kids and acting. If the writer's strike ever ends, getting back to my day job would be really nice. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I read when I was researching a little bit about you, because I think I left you a little bit at Gossip Girl, and then you came back into my life the other day, and I was like, oh, I need to figure out what you've been doing since then, basically.
Yeah.
And of course, I saw that during Gossip Girl, you also had 2 kids.
Yes.
And so not only, and you also have that as a part of your title, right? I think all parents hopefully has that as something that they identify themselves with, but. Yeah. What's your greatest learnings, or how did you balance building that Hollywood career and at the same time balancing motherhood, not just motherhood but parenthood, because we have probably some dads in here as well. I saw some dads with babies earlier, so yeah.
Well, I think women are asked that a lot because, and we always go, why are we asked how to balance everything? Why aren't the dudes asked that as well?
Good point.
But I think there's a good reason that we're asked that, and it's because, I think women, and particularly mothers, are natural CEOs. We run a house, we make sure the laundry's done, we make sure things are clean, we make sure the kids get to school, the lunches are done, your husband is happy and satisfied, that he's got everything. So I think there's a lot that goes on that women do that, is a huge job and role. And then on top of it, if you go to work and have a business as well, So I think that's why women get asked more than, or we sometimes get offended being asked. I don't get offended at all. I think it's very true that women have to balance a bit more. Not all women, but it's true, just because we're the mothers and the caregivers of the children as well. That's all. So.
So we're just natural born CEOs.
Well, I think to be able to manage a home, your children, your personal life with your husband and that relationship, and keep that beautiful and in harmony, it takes a lot of balance and it takes a lot of attention. But I also think women are programmed for that. I think it's our natural, intuitive role to be able to do all those things. But it is a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah. I hear you.
It is fun. It's fun too.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a joy.
Definitely. And talking about like not just fun things, but also kind of like, I guess being a mother is a little bit about going with the flow.
Yes.
And also I think you have some very good points on your Instagram about like going with the flow, but also knowing yourself and when to listen to yourself. And can you elaborate a little bit about, you had a quote about like, it said, that giving your best is different from time to time.
Yes.
That really stuck with me, because sometimes I can hit myself in the head if I take some time on the couch, for example.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that, and also how you're living that yourself?
Yeah. Well, I believe that like we give our best every day, and every day is a little different. It can be, some days you're jet lagged, some days your children are going through things, some days, your business is going through things. But I think the key is to keep showing up and to show up authentically. So not to be hard on ourselves, because we aren't robots yet. We're not there yet. We are still in a human form. And as long as we're in this human form, we're going to have those things, And I think we're trying to act like robots before we're there. So, we've got to be in touch with our humanness, which is showing up and doing our best every day. But the beauty of our humanness is that if we get quiet and connect up, we have this beautiful guidance system and this beautiful operating system that can attract what we need. And if we listen to it, which we're very distracted a lot, we can know things, and things can, it's kind of like the algorithm, right? We're seeing all these algorithms, or you think something and then it's on your phone, or you see all this stuff. And it's kind of like life. If we realize that every thought we think is creating something, and if we were taught that from a young age, we would realize that you just have to get quiet and connect up with it, and you start to create the algorithm of your own life.
It makes so much sense, and I think when I read it, it's something that's a journey for me, at least, like just trying to be true to myself, who I am as a person.
Yes.
And maybe when you're younger, you try to fit in, you're a teenager, you look at what other people are doing, you watch Gossip Girl, for example, and you get a lot of good inspiration, but at some point you need to figure out who are you and be true to that, because otherwise you can't really thrive in life.
Correct. Yeah.
And that brings us back to a conversation we had out there about like a little bit about nature.
Yeah.
And I think you had a really good point about how we could look at nature. And maybe it's also like for some out there to, for business ideas, or a way to like make their business better, but also a way to just do life, imitating nature.
Okay. Well, I love nature, so we were talking about that, and I was saying, how much I love nature, and how, nature is the ultimate intelligence. It's much more intelligent than I believe we are. We take from nature, we use nature and monetize nature, right? So that's kind of what we've been doing. But it's the highest intelligence. We were talking about how, the roots talk to each other, and the mushrooms have different communications. It's just not a communication that we necessarily understand. We're just starting to understand. But the more that we connect up with that intelligence, that higher intelligence, the better things are. And I hope that in our process of evolving and moving into this age of technology, transhumanism or robotics, all these things, and AI, that we don't completely destroy the intelligence of nature. That's all, because I believe that we really, it doesn't become the Lorax, as we were talking about. It's a Dr. Seuss book. Just because I know the more we connect with that, the actually more intelligent we become. So, more intuitively, obviously, but yeah.
I did not know. Yes, I did not know Dr. Seuss, but apparently it's about that they like a nation that ends up living in a bubble, creating their own nature and everything, but it
gets destroyed.
And
and they live in this sort of world of.
Yeah. So they live in like, they try to create their own. It's not as good as nature, and nature gets destroyed basically. But someone managed to open that door. And I guess not being too doom and gloom, but we are going in a way where we're not really serving nature in a good way, and where maybe we want to look a little bit more at nature. Maybe also when building companies,
yes, for sure.
You can imitate nature. Nature has the best ways of creating strong rope, of creating like building blocks, of building in like a modular things, so you can actually build something very big from something very small. So at least that's something I'm geeking out about right now, as you can probably hear.
For sure.
We are soon going to the questions, and I want to make sure that all of you can ask a question to Kelly. So I talked to Ben, one of the founders that you invested in before this, and I asked him what he learned from you. And he said that he learned many things, but probably most importantly, to keep your feet on the ground, to stay grounded, and to be nice. To see people and to be nice to them and to recognize their effort.
Yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on how, your approach to that? Because I thought that was super inspiring and a nice way to live.
That's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other. I hope we haven't lost the plot of that, because that is what we're here to do, is connect and communicate and support each other. We were talking about, I was talking before about helping children. I was saying this word nepotism came in, and I said, I'm all for it. I think everyone should help their children and start their children in business and give everything to their children to be as powerful as they can be, instead of sort of saying, go out and figure it out. So I believe that we're here to connect with each other. That's all. And I thank you, Benjamin. I think that's beautiful. I know, in partnering with Benjamin and Eric, I really have been so inspired by their being who they say they are and showing up, and their ethics and their integrity, because to me that is so important, regardless of you can't always predict the outcome of everything, but at least the journey is going to be beautiful with the people that you're working with. And to me that's the most important thing. I know it'll be successful, but the journey has been so beautiful, with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think very inspiring, and something I think we should all live by, because it's just nicer to be around each other if we're nice to each other. It's more fun.
More fun.
Another thing that I was struck by when I read up on your story, you were actually not interviewing. What do you call it? Like when you want to be an actor in something, you're auditioning. Sorry, I'm not in your world. You can tell that, right? You were auditioning for another show you really wanted to get before you got Gossip Girl.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that journey you've been on with your ups and downs, and maybe trying to force things sometimes and things not going your way, is like being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think it's learning to trust what is for you, and that the doors that don't open are not your doors, right? Like, it's not your door. The doors that open easily and effortlessly are your doors, and you can try to force things and make things happen, but it's just telling you that it's either not the time. It doesn't mean it's not that door is always gonna be closed, but it's just not the time. Maybe you're not there yet, willing to receive what that has to offer. I always think if you just were to visualize, which is beautiful, to take the time to visualize, if you had everything you want and everything is taken care of and your company is huge and you have we don't spend enough time, I think, in that space of it's all taken care of and it's all coming and it's all arriving, and what would we even do with it if it did arrive all tomorrow? You know, there's perfect timing of things when they arrive. And the more we stay focused on that and trust that, you know, I really wanted this other TV show. And I'm so glad I didn't get it, because something even more beautiful came around is what you know, I didn't know what was around the corner. So that's part of, I think, my learning has been just trust. If it doesn't feel right and it's not working, just trust that something better is around the corner. We're always being divinely guided and protected if we can just calm our nervous system down and really get more in touch with the operating system of visualizing what we want, how we want to feel, what does it look like, and how do I feel when I receive all the things that I want, whether it's in any aspect of your life.
Nice. I love that. If the doors don't open, it's just it's not yours. I love that. Just keep that in mind when you're looking for funding, etc. I think that's a great advice. Another thing that I know I was thinking about, many people out here are probably thinking about, you're a busy lady, but you also invested in a startup company. Do you have more plans to invest in companies? And what did you look for when investing in Whyzzer?
Yeah. Not at the moment, because I just am doing a lot between being a mom and Whyzzer and all the other things. But yeah, I really just look for the people, the humans, and who I'm working with, and really believing in what we're doing. So I really just believe in what we're doing. So that's it. I wish it was more nice. I had more to say about it, but that's just it.
But that comes back to you as a person and the doors that you open, being nice and getting nice vibrations, I guess. So there was one question here that really that I thought could be fun to hear. What were the most unexpected highlights of going into entrepreneurship/investing for you?
Oh my gosh. I think it's education. It's so many things I didn't know that I've learned from Eric and Benjamin along the way, because they really are knowledgeable about startups and investing and apps and Silicon Valley and all of that. So I've just been really in awe and excited to learn about it all. For me, it's been a really fun learning experience and journey. Something totally different than what I do. So
nice.
Yeah.
And then there was one, and it was one that came in as one of the first things. So I really think we should take that one, because it's, if someone wants to follow their dream but doesn't dare to, what advices would you give?
Well, I would first just write it all out. Like, what's the big dream? You know, like, I don't know how many of us take the time, but like, what is the biggest, craziest, wildest dream you can imagine? You know, write it out. Like, what is it? Like, crazy stuff. Is it a private plane? Is it like, you know, what is it? And I think the more you build out this huge, big dream, like, the easier it is to take these smaller steps. Funny enough, you'd think it would be the opposite. But, you know, I think the idea is to have fun at whatever you're doing. You get courage from doing something you're passionate about. And also, if in some way it serves others, it's just helps a lot. Helps a lot.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So write it out, get it out there, and I guess
write about it. Like, write it every day, because things will come to you. You know.
And I actually heard that before, so I think that's worth trying out. You might end up, you know, getting to do what you love and getting your dream. There's another thing that I would also really like. We have questions different places, but it's the same questions. But looking back at your life, is there anything you would change or do differently?
Oh my God, I've made so many mistakes. I've done so many.
I'm happy to hear that.
Ridiculous things. I mean, I look back and go, oh my God. But, you know, I did the best I knew at the time, you know, so I kind of look at those mistakes like I would a child. I think, oh, you know, you didn't know better. You were in survival mode, or you were trying to figure things out, or you were a new mom, or you were a new wife, or you were, you know, so a new actress, whatever. So I just think, a new investor even. I mean, I've learned so much that I look back and go, oh my God, why'd you say that? Why'd you know? So that's all. You look back and love your mistakes and honor them, and you keep going, I think, you know. So no, I wouldn't change it, because it's learning. It's just learning, you know.
Nice. And from all the things that you learned, my last question will be, if you can go back and give your 20-year-old self an advice,
Yes.
what would that advice be?
Oh.
And I didn't prep you for this.
No, I know you didn't. I think it's just to trust more. It was funny, I saw a picture of myself recently from maybe 10 or 15 years ago, and I really stopped and looked at her because, you know, we're different people now. It's still me, but I was like, wow, look at her. Like, and I felt that. For the first time in my life, I looked at a picture of myself that way. And I just felt like such love and compassion because, you know, we all want so many things and we want to do so many things. And now we're realizing that, you know, to be in the receiving mode is actually the way to do it. You know, I was taught in my generation, you have to get out and hustle and work hard and wear a suit. You know, it's like more like male energy, right? And then now I realize, oh no, but like women, you know, we're really beautiful at receiving. You know, we have this, and so it's against our energy and our nervous system, right? So the thing is, I guess when I looked at the picture, I thought, oh, I wish I could calm her nervous system down and tell her to just trust and to know what she wants more and allow it to just evolve, you know? The more I knew what I wanted, the more I wrote about it, the more I'm clear about what it is I want and I'm desiring, the easier it is to connect. And I'm holding a different frequency than I am when my hands are outreached, right? When you're reaching for something, your energy is different than when you sit and you're here, you know? So it was more that. I wish I could have given her a hug and just relax. Just relax.
Nice.
And write about it and know it's going to happen and trust.
Nice.
Trust more.
And relax. I
Yeah.
love that.
Trust more.
Kelly, let's give her a big round of applause. Thank you so much for flying to Denmark.